Describe Guadalupe Street in 3 words.
Congested, rough, unloved.
I do not enjoy sitting at the crosswalk every day waiting for cars to go by, and I see a lot of people almost get hit on Guad.
It's awesome.
Enthusiastic, colorful, and busy.
A lot of people come through revving their motors because I think that's why they call it the drag.
The restaurant scene kind of sucks.
If you want to people watch, that's what I would do on Guadalupe Street.
El transporte de aquí del área de Guadalupe es excelente.
It's too bad, it's too packed all the time, and you can't ever get a good seat. If it is, it's already been bombing or people.
I'd say fun is one of them. Busy, very busy, and I'd say, I don't know the third one. Maybe like car oriented. Yeah, I think the cars have kind of taken over here, but.
Guadalupe Street is a major commercial corridor that divides the University of TEDxUTAustin from the West Campus neighborhood. During peak hours, about 7,600 people cross the street, while only about 2,000 cars pass through. Yet, this area is designed for the cars and not the pedestrians. Some see this as a flaw in the street's design, proof that cars should be removed entirely. Others argue that a plan for redesign would create major traffic problems. These conflicting perspectives are part of a larger debate about how we should design city spaces and what we should design them for. In order to better understand this conversation, we must first ask, why isn't there more vibrant pedestrian life on Guadalupe Street? How has the City of Austin and its partners transformed city spaces over time? And what is the city's new plan to reshape its urban landscape and prioritize pedestrians and public transit? First, let's take a quick journey through the past.
In the late 19th century, streetcars emerged as a popular way to navigate urban areas. In New York City, cable cars marked a new and revolutionary form of transit. People hopped on and off streetcars to navigate the growing metropolis. In 1875, the first mule-driven streetcars emerged as a way to get around Austin. And by the 1890s, the city had a network of lines, one of which ran straight down Guadalupe Street. I don't want to glamorize this system too much, though. It didn't serve everyone equally. In the early 1900s, the city of Austin passed an ordinance that called for the segregation of seating on streetcars. More broadly, public transportation has a complex history of facilitating structural inequity in the United States. To learn more about that, see the resources in our description. People used these streetcars until the last car's closure in 1940. It was around that time, the 1930s and 40s, that cities transitioned from running streetcars to creating a network of diesel-fueled buses. But why did these streetcars leave? The Roaring '20s marked a period of explosive consumption in the car market. More and more people in the high classes began purchasing cars, but average people also increasingly used public transportation. In the 1930s, automobile maker General Motors devised a scheme to expand the market for diesel vehicles. General Motors joined forces with Firestone Tire, Standard Oil of California, Mack Manufacturing, and Phillips Petroleum to form a front company called National City Lines. This new front company bought up the majority of shares of public transit companies across the country, gaining control over their affairs. Soon, National City Lines called for the transition of their streetcars to diesel buses. The same transit companies that used to run streetcars were now buying diesel buses from the companies behind National City Lines, like General Motors. The era of America's streetcars was officially coming to a close. When the government learned about this consolidation of big business, they took the companies behind National City Lines to trial. In 1949, General Motors and the other companies were convicted of violating the Sherman Antitrust Act. However, the change the companies initiated was already in motion. While Austin Streetcar Company was not a victim of this conspiracy, the widespread trend of replacing streetcars with diesel buses was reflected in Austin. As streetcar networks dwindled, a major economic boom following World War II was sweeping the country, empowering America's middle class to be able to afford their own automobile. Many white middle-class people moved to the suburbs in a phenomenon known as white flight. This increased the need for road systems that allowed suburbanites to easily navigate between the suburbs and the city. Additionally, the government began constructing the interstate highway system, cementing cars as the predominant way to travel throughout the country. America's culture became ever more centered on cars. Soon, some people would begin to question how cities can move away from car dominance. Since the early 20th century, when the city of Austin began shifting its infrastructure towards supporting more suburban communities, the city has actually taken on a bunch of projects to bring that community back to the urban core. So Lady Bird Johnson, for example, in the 60s and 70s championed the Town Lake Beautification Project, which involved planting more trees and remaking our community space around Lady Bird Lake to support more community environments. In 2001, this pedestrian and bicycle bridge opened up in Austin. Over 1 million people use it a year. Throughout downtown, there have been other radical redesigns of space, and one UT professor played a vital role in this one.
Austin has done some amazing things to create better pedestrian environments.
Dr. Larry Speck was the chief designer for the Capitol Complex project, which transformed this space into one for city gatherings, events, tourism, and festivals. However, Speedway is most personal to the University of Texas at Austin. It serves as the center for student life on campus. But before 2015, it was just another road.
This leads us to the present. Across the United States and beyond, cities are investing more and more in projects that recreate spaces to be centered around pedestrians. In Austin, many urban planners have had their eyes on redeveloping Guadalupe Street.
And Guadalupe has always been terrible. Weedy, cracked sidewalks, no street trees, no shade. It's just classic bad pedestrian environment.
People have proposed ideas for redesigning Austin's Guadalupe Street since the 1990s, but plans to rework it have never come to fruition.
And it was really the merchants and the churches on the drag that said, this is the biggest transit hub in Austin. And at the time it was. More people got on and off of a bus on the drag than anywhere in Austin. Isn't this the number one place you ought to make a good pedestrian environment in order to support that transit? The bureaucracy of the city just did not get it done.
For advocates of this redesign, Guadalupe represents the perfect opportunity for a more pedestrian-oriented space. Urban planners imagine a Guadalupe where people can socialize and hang out. While Austin's Guadalupe Street does get a lot of traffic, it is what urban studies and geography undergraduate Freddie Beamer characterizes as a strode.
Guadalupe Street tries to be a street where there's shopping and businesses and people hanging out and socializing, but it also tries to be a road where people just pass through without stopping at high speeds, and it just ends up failing at both of those objectives.
Those who hope to see Guadalupe transformed are thankful that progress finally seems to be in motion after nearly 60% of Austinites voted for Project Connect in 2020. The main goal of Project Connect is to adapt Austin's public transit network to match the growing size of the city. Highlights of the project include creating new bus rapid transit lines, express bus routes, giving funding for services like pickup, where Cap Metro will drive to your destination, and finally, at its centerpiece, the light rail. In addition, there will be opportunities for new pedestrian spaces and bike lanes. Let's take a close look at the light rail. A light rail is an electric train built on the street and often used in densely populated urban areas. The City of Austin plans to build its first light rail, serving Hyde Park, the University of Texas, downtown, East Riverside, and South Congress. A later phase of the design will likely connect it to the Austin airport itself. The system will have trains coming every 5 to 10 minutes and offer riders a quicker and more reliable way to travel throughout the city. The light rail will run straight down Guadalupe Street, which will change how students interact with this space. According to the current plan, the city will transform the University of Texas portion of the Guadalupe Street into shared bus and bike-only lanes with the light rail running down the middle. The rest of the street will be given to pedestrians, with trees and benches to give the street a more vibrant and welcoming personality. Cars, no longer given lanes on the road, will be rerouted to Nueces Street. However, the plan is not without controversy. Students at the University of Texas at Austin are likely familiar with the Save Dirties banners that hang from many Greek life buildings and apartments across West Campus. These are in response to a former iteration of the plan that would have removed the historical restaurant Dirty Martin's to make room for the light rail. Currently, plans don't involve relocating Dirty Martin's. However, some businesses will be relocated. This frustrates, confuses, and saddens some people. It also raises the age-old question of urban growth. How do you account for building a thriving urban environment while preserving what was there before?
Change is always a very difficult process to go through, but when we think about all of the amazing things that make Austin great, it's all of these things that we're seeing as drastic changes at the time. The Lady Bird Lake, beautification, the Speedway Street, pedestrianization.
The city is expected to start construction on the light rail in 2027. Most agree the Austin Light Rail will significantly change the public's relationship with Guadalupe Street, but the question is how? While some are concerned about the project's impact on local businesses and traffic, others believe it will increase safety and convenience for pedestrians. In a broader sense, this project reflects a growing trend among cities nationwide to address what some view as past planning failures. By redesigning urban spaces with pedestrians, cyclists, and transit users in mind, they hope to create more accessible and sustainable communities. This visionary redevelopment plan should serve as a call for the community to take a more active role in how we think about the infrastructure around us.